No. Hear that.
Yes. If you're in the audience and you have not signed in on the sign-in sheet, you could go ahead and give your delegation about that.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, October 15th, 2024, and this is the Virgin Town Council, regular town council meeting. So the first order of business is the pledge of allegiance. So if you would stand. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, any conflict of interest? Misty? No. Me, no. Paul?
No.
April? No. Okay. All right, the consent agenda today is for approval of the minutes of September 12th and the September 17th town council meetings. I have to admit, I have not looked at them yet. Has any of you looked at the minutes and made any corrections?
I've made my corrections, I read through them once, but that was,
But you haven't made did you have any corrections to make?
yeah.
Okay, good.
What about you? I made my corrections.
I had minor corrections that I made.
Okay,
Mine are grammatical though, so we can go ahead and approve them, and I can just make them, give them to Crystal later, like I do.
okay, so,
Well, the mayor has.
I have not looked at them. Okay, we can wait till next month. Okay, then we will put off the approval of the minutes, the September town council minutes, we'll put them off until, our November meeting. Okay, Crystal? Okay, all right, so right now we will get reports from, we start off first, we've got the zoning administrator, Gene.
Well, we'll be fairly short and sweet since I don't have a handout for you tonight. I apologize. Nothing's changed per se as far as new projects. I do have just a little bit of an update on the Labrie project. I spoke with Jonathan today. Everything went to the attorney, so as soon as that's recorded, I think they're ready to go.
Yeah, we'll be ready to record tomorrow. Just got the bond and the checks for
Do you have the checks with you? Are they still at your office?
yeah,
Okay,
I don't.
okay. We'll send somebody to pick them up. Okay,
That's all I've got unless you got questions for me or anything about that.
Did you talk to them about the weed problem that they have and maybe perhaps they could clean up?
I was not aware I was doing that, but I know it was discussed, but I think. We have to look back at the meeting minutes, but I think. Mayor was gonna talk to him about that.
oh, I'm sorry, I did not.
It's all right, I mean, I can't. Is it, we was talking along the back fence or were we?
No, it's right at the 1420 intersection and that it's just full of weeds. It looks terrible.
Right there where the curve, as you're,
Just right as you come into Desert Gardens.
I
That
can reach
whole
out
area.
okay,
if you want, Mayor, I'll talk to him, ask him to do some.
okay, if you would, let me know what they said.
Okay, anything else?
So on the rib, is that the name of it? The reeve, how did they say that?
The rent,
What's the rib?
that's what they renamed.
That's those new short-term rentals.
Oh,
The ones with,
the one that was red
Jeff
coyote,
Lee, yeah.
red coyote. Okay.
So are they, do you know if they're planning to put up a fence on SR9?
I don't think so. I don't think that was part of their deal, but I can ask them to.
I know there's
Jeff's
gonna be a
really
fence
good with
behind,
that, so.
I know there's gonna be a fence behind, between them and the residential area behind them, I know that, but I I was
think
aware
they're doing
that
it
that
for
was
this purpose is to get visibility for guests, so usually don't fence off blocking on SR9.
I just think they're atrocious looking, and if they would put up a fence, that would be great.
I mean, I would ask them.
And then on White Bison, that temporary occupancy permit that they have for the RV park, does that expire in October? I thought it expired in October.
We just gave them an extension today, this morning, before I took off for my meeting in St. George.
So how
And
long?
that was signed, that was for another year, that was signed off, but we had Ron Mills go and, do an inspection of the thing, and once it was to his satisfaction, then, the certificate of occupancy was issued.
And my understanding, I'd have to ask Cameron for sure, I think it was him that I was talking to, but they've gotten some state approval that they're waiting on, so I imagine it's moving forward. You probably know more than I do on that, if they did their re-up their temporary. Anything else?
Why would, talk to me after the meeting, there's something I wanted to let you know, the Zoom meeting that you may want to attend. It's every Monday at 3 o'clock, it has to do with it. So we'll talk about it after the meeting's over. Okay, Darlene, do you have, or, yes, Darlene, the new planning commission chairman who was appointed last week? I think it was last week? You were voted on by your planning commission, so give us an update.
So we have a public hearing on 4 items that we will be discussing tomorrow. One about public notice of the DRC, one about a zone change where and the place here. One about planning and zoning. And we sent to you the subdivision ordinance, because Riker was able to answer any remaining questions. He had previously had a public hearing before the one we had, and there were just a few minor things that were mostly questions and points of clarification. We were able to reach an understanding, so that one will be coming to you. Tomorrow, we have a very, very busy schedule. We hope to revisit with Riker, the neighborhood commercial, after he got our comments and suggestions. We are looking forward to finalizing the general plan survey. And we're discussing the 4 items. Oh, and then the ordinance. The live work ordinance.
Workforce housing?
Yeah, well, it wasn't workforce housing, it was like if you have a business and you have a place for your employees, it's very lucrative.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
It's on chapter 40.
Yeah.
So, we did, that was the 4th one that we did. We hope to have the signed ordinance ready to go. I sent it to Riker, not heard back yet. Hopefully we'll have an update tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll be able to have a final general plan survey and then start progress on some other items which we're just beginning discussion. And so we're busy.
All right. And it looks like, Jay Lee is not here tonight to give us an update on the mosquito abatement, if any, if there was any update. And, so we can move on to open forum. Is there anyone in the audience that has anything they would like to, present to the town, anything that is not on the agenda? Given how few people are here, I'm going to take that as a no. So we can move on to council comments. And April, I was gonna ask you to repeat the update you gave us at the work meeting last week on Shoot Bridge Road.
Okay, so last Monday I attended a pre-construction meeting on Sheep Ridge Road project. That project is being funded through the county. And they're only doing from SR9 to the bridge. I have a set of plans that shows that it's 2 14-foot wide travel lanes and 2 2-foot shoulders at this time. I asked them if they were planning to put any pedestrian sidewalk or bike paths, and they said that that would be done when the next phase of the project, which is the federally funded project, they have $3.9 billion to do the other 4.5 miles. So then I went to a meeting on, this past Monday, again, on-site meeting, and they're just really starting to work out there. They've got a lot of alignment changes, which I was kind of surprised with, but they're really moving a lot of dirt, and the road seems to be trending to move to the east of it, sort of away from the residents a little bit, maybe 10 or 15 feet. And I think they're trying to straighten it out and get rid of some of those curves, so. They claim that they'll be done paving by Thanksgiving. And at the rate they're moving, they're going to moving like
Who did they award it to?
interstate.
Interstates for the-
And I asked them about like leaving the road open for traffic, with like employees from Apple Valley that work up in the park. And they were concerned about doing that because of the alignment, because they just didn't see any way that they could keep traffic on there. So they basically had both those signs on both ends of Shepherd's Road. And they're allowing some local traffic, they had a car sideways in the road today. And they were stopping anybody that was coming through. There's a little bit of traffic from the senior games that's still going through there quite a bit. There's like a little tent city out there. And they're allowing that traffic to come through, but on Wednesday, they said they're going to close it down completely. So that'll,
So they won't even let anybody, are they gonna let anybody come from like Highway 59 that was just coming even part way? That doesn't even need to come
I
all the way
don't
to
know if they have any plans to do that because that's pretty hard to stop and to control. So I'm not sure whether,
They're turning and burning, really going through that fast, they want both sides, they want the entire side.
they said they were going to close the entire road. They'll leave it open on, weekends and then they'll accommodate some of the events, like Frog Hollow's coming up in November 2nd. And they'll accommodate that, and then, like I said, the residents are going to be allowed to come and go and have parking. So. But I asked them about a lot of the residents have, maybe some fences and landscaping, some rocks, and we walked through to see if any of that would need to be moved, and because the road's moving over to the east, it's not really going to impact any of the residents, and then I've also asked them to put in a asphalt drive up like 5 feet into the drive so that it keeps all the rocks and everything off the road, and so they would do that too.
Okay. Yeah, so for myself, my council comments, I was at the DTEC meeting today and they did talk about Sheep Ridge Road. And they indicated the federal money is probably going to be released soon, before too long. And that they will be able to get started on the rest of the road, from the bridge all the way to 59 later on in 2025. Because they still have to get the right of way for the BLM through some of the BLM property, but otherwise they'll be ready to go. And the other thing that happened today at this DTEC meeting, they also reported on the shuttle that we have on our agenda that we have to choose a location. We are going to discuss the location of where the bus stop is going to be. I'm fairly certain where we're going to choose, but in any event, it definitely is going to start November 1st. They have a press release that will be sending out that we can post on our website. The charge is going to be $5 one way. And then there's going to be a monthly pass of $100. So anyone who rides more than 10 times round trip is going to want to get that pass. And then they're going to have the same ticketing app that they use for Suntran down in St. George, but the schedule isn't ready yet. They said They will, before November first, they will let us know what times the bus would be stopping in various times. So they have a tentative schedule, but there's no point telling us yet now because it might change. And then the last thing I just wanted to mention in council comments was, actually next to last thing. The election coming up for, the new town council member, I wanted to make it clear to anyone who's here or anyone who is watching online that the way the state code is, that given the amount of time that is left for this seat that's open, whoever is appointed, whoever wins, submits their name and gets appointed to the seat, they will only serve through December of next year. And then they have to run for a 2-year seat. So they'll have to put their name in, whoever wants to run would be, if the person who fills this seat for now wants to run and serve further, they would have to put their name in June and then be in the election in November. So there would essentially be 4 seats that are going to have, that are gonna be running next November.
3 seats for 4 years and 1 for 2.
Right, 3 seats for 4 years and then that seat for 2 years only. And then it gets back onto the regular schedule. That's what the code says. And then it's back onto the same set of 3 people every 2 years and then 2 people every 2 years. And that gets it back onto the schedule. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out for anyone who was listening. And I won't say any more about what was discussed at the DTEC meeting about the Springdale shuttle, because I'll just mention it when we get to that part of our agenda. Paul, did you have anything?
Yeah, first, Chad, do you have anything?
No,
Okay, good. Chad was sworn in last Tuesday, officially sworn in as a battalion chief.
Okay.
So congratulations again.
Yes.
And then last Monday, we had our truth and taxation hearing, setting a rate for taxes for the fire, well, recommendation from the fire board to the county commission. So we had the hearing on Monday, which was 3.5 hours, I think. It was brutal, as you can imagine. And then the next day, we went ahead and approved the recommendation
For the tax increase.
to set the tax rate, which would be tax increase with request that goes away once we get an alternative funding, revenue funding through the legislature. We have it lined up that we should be able to get a sales tax through, and then that will allow us to provide property tax relief. So this is a stopgap effort, just so we don't have to cut personnel at the fire station for a year. And from what's lined up, we think we have a good shot at getting that sales tax
I
through.
was gonna ask, why do they think they'll get it this year when they didn't get it last time?
A lot of different political issues such as the stadium for the baseball, and that was a factor last year. There were some other political issues and timing issues that came in effect. But all the principles, and I'm not as familiar with the state legislator as Justin and Bill are that are on the board, but there are some key players that said, yes, we're gonna promote this, we're gonna try to get through this through. Other fire districts are looking towards us as maybe this is an alternative for funding.
Okay.
So it looks good, looks like that tax rate will be 1 year only, and we'll have tax relief.
What was the increase?
It point 001063. Do you remember what it was, Chad, exactly how much increase?
It's a 52% from the millage rate.
From the mill levy rate, 52%.
So it was a 52% increase over the current mill. Right.
Yes.
What was that? Brad, what is your last? Chad. What is your last name?
Oliphant,
What?
Oliphant,
Oliphant.
OLIPHANT.
Yeah, so I have the old rate and the new rate if you want.
Yeah, I'm curious.
So the old rate was 0.000699. The new rate would be 0.001063. And the county commissioners to.
I wasn't sure if they were gonna have it on their agenda today or not. I heard it was a possibility, but I don't know if
It
they did.
did not make.
Did not make it.
The extra was over now, it was supposed to be put on for next week.
Thank you, John.
Misty, any comments? Okay, I just realized that, my third comment, I told you guys I have 3 comments, I made 2. My third comment is I wanted to introduce those that are here and those who are watching online to Matt Johnson, who is our code enforcement officer that just started 3 weeks ago. So this is Matt Johnson. And-
Welcome, Matt.
Thank you. All right. So, as I said, after I introduced you, you guys do not have to stay for the rest of the meeting unless you just want to. Okay, all right. All right, so next item is the public hearing on the amendment to the first quarterly amendment to our budget for the fiscal year 24-25. So I need a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion to close the regular meeting and open the public hearing.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anyone here have any comment to make about the amendments to the budget that were posted online for everyone to review? Obviously, no one, so I guess we can now close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing and reopen the public meeting.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right, so, the first item is to vote to, approve or deny the resolution amending the quarterly budget. The quarterly amendment to the budget for fiscal year 24-25. So we went over this, at our meeting last week. And we pretty much had, as I can believe, we came away with an agreement on everything that was proposed, so, anything changed for anyone subsequent to our meeting on Thursday? No? Then I will take a motion to approve resolution R 2024 amending the budget for fiscal year 24-25.
I move for approval of resolution R 2024-U, the first quarterly amendment to fiscal year 2024-2025 budget.
I'll second it.
Okay, I will take a roll call vote. Misty,
Yes.
Paul,
Aye.
April,
Yes,
and me, Jean. Yes, okay. That's done. Next is to authorize me to sign the, this second amendment and renewal regarding the interlocal agreement regarding the, distribution of the, RAP tax. And we went over that last week, and the only difference, what they're doing, the RAP tax is supposed to expire in 2025. And this is extending the RAP tax by 10 years, another 10 years, and then they want to take a, what was it, 1.5% or 1.5% as an administrative fee for that's the first one, sorry. Where's the second? What was the amount of, do you guys remember what, here it is, I found the page. 1.5%, yes, that's what I thought it was. 1.5% they're going to withhold from the RAP tax as an administrative fee for distributing the proceeds. So I will need a motion for me to sign this second amendment and renewal of this agreement.
I just had a question. That rat tax is showing up on the ballot for November,
It's
right?
supposed to be there, but I
It
didn't
is
think.
there. No, it is. Okay.
It's on.
It's a,
So what that means, that's just for Washington County, is that
Yes.
correct?
It is. Yeah, you have to,
Washington County.
so tax is available by county, through general election. And so it's, and you can, it has to be put back on the ballot, is it every 5 years?
I think it's 10 years, because this was 10 years
When
ago.
it first came out, it was 5 years, I think the legislature made a change, so the counties didn't have to keep putting it back on as free money. And so now it's back up and to be renewed, this is going to be renewed interlocal agreement on how the RAP tax is distributed. And I think the 1.5% admin fee was the same.
It didn't have an admin fee the first time, this is new. Yeah.
So if that doesn't pass, then this is just,
Yes, everyone is approving it in anticipation. If it doesn't pass, then their local agreement will not be.
that was my question. I didn't understand. We're voting on it now, but I hadn't.
Yes, Darlene,
Is it a simple majority voters or is it 2/3?
it's a majority, simple majority. Last time, when this passed in 2014, it barely passed. And countywide, and it was a minuscule amount of voters that passed it. I suspect this time it will probably get a lot more because of how much money has been spent on recreation, art, and parks all around the county. That if this was to go away, it'd be a significant loss to, all the towns.
So do we get a proportion of that?
Yeah, we get
Okay.
It's based on
Population.
population, and so as our population increases, although Paul pointed out that the other town's population is increasing also. So therefore our percentage may be going down or it may go up, but for the past couple of years, we've gotten $15,000 a year from the RAP tax. All to spend on recreation and parks and art, but we've never spent it on art, it's only been recreation and parks. Okay, so,
Which maybe we will, because one of the things we recommended on the sign code is that murals on walls would be allowed.
okay, so maybe I'll look at,
So if we can find a good place for it, maybe we can have some art here.
okay, I would love to have some art in
Too many good visible walls, do
Not yet. But maybe if they put a wall fence up along SR9 to hide that and then.
and then put a mural on it. Okay, you guys need to authorize me to sign this.
Seems to be a roll call too.
So I'll make the motion that we authorize the mayor to sign the second amendment and renewal of the interlocal cooperative agreement regarding the distribution of RAP tax revenue in Washington County.
Second.
All in favor? No, roll call.
Roll call.
Roll call on this? Well, all right then. Misty?
Yes.
Jean, yes, Paul,
Aye.
and, April.
Yes,
Now, we did not do a resolution to authorize me to sign this, we just authorized me to sign this. Okay. Since we did a roll call vote, it's nowhere other than Crystal's note minutes, they're recording that, okay. All right, next is approval or denial of ordinance 2024-15 that would close the resort zone. Now, we discussed this in our meeting on Thursday, we discussed whether to just approve this ordinance or if we want to actually delete the zone completely from our land use code. So that was our option. What are you smiling at?
Yeah, well, I've got my opinion, I was gonna
Okay.
comment, I don't know why, it would serve no purpose to keep the, zone in our ordinance. it should be closed. The uses that, we only have in one property that's subject to the resort zone, as far as I understand, that's the RV park. Those uses are grandfathered, we keep historical copies of our ordinance and what was in the resort zone at the time. I don't understand, this had been done previously,
Wait a minute,
and then the resort zone came back to life, and then we're now closing again. I don't think keeping it in all of its terms in the code would be is warranted. I think we should simply delete the.
so if we're going to just delete it, do we need to send this back to planning commission for a further public hearing to just delete this from the code? Because that is different from just amending section 42 to say that it's closed.
Yeah, it is, it's different. So.
So it would have to go back. Okay.
That's what the information follow, which
My thought is, I was the one that I also raised the same thing last week. Why don't we just delete chapter 42?
don't give it an opportunity to kind of linger.
Yes.
Yeah.
In like, life support and some sort of coma, only to come out.
Only to come back after the next election.
Okay.
Darlene, did you have something? Oh,
You
sure.
guys are armed up, so we're sure.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we send, did this ever have a number?
No, not really. We put it on the agenda with the number in case we passed it, but otherwise, no.
I make a motion that, we send, ordinance 2024 number 15 as now, closing the resort zone back to the planning and zoning commission for their recommendation of just deleting chapter 42 resort zone altogether.
I'll second, okay,
I'll second it.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, now we have the subdivision code. The subdivision ordinance that we were, yes,
Do we want to take up the discussion of the boundary line?
Oh, sure. sure,
And then so they don't have to sit
Sure.
here through all the items. So
thank you,
if
I would have put that at the very
You want me to
first.
make a motion?
Yeah,
to move
sure.
that up? I'll make a motion that we move item 6 to come after item 3.
Second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right, Lenny and what is your son?
Arlen.
Harlan?
Arlen.
Arlen. Okay,
Like farmers and landers.
we're going to talk to Lenny and Arlen about the boundary adjustment. Now, last time they were here, Keith, the last time they were here, you had asked them to get a survey of their property, which according to Arlen has been done.
Correct.
Okay, so with that in mind, what is the next thing that they need to do? Did you bring a copy of the,
I sent an email to
Chris.
Crystal? Oh, you have it. Oh, that's what this is. Okay.
I remember right when we discussed it last week with the attorney there, he said because we would pay for a survey. You guys would report whatever our product and down lines are. And we just call that the.
Okay.
Say that's down, so when we've been kind of in limbo here, I called numerous times. Now, waiting for an email,
Okay, it's okay.
so
Well, we're here now.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I had one question about, looking at where the existing fence is on the survey. There is a slight sliver.
Crystal, can you bring this up on the screen?
Yeah, that might be helpful.
And
blow it up, so you can see glass. Bring, somebody, yeah, there we go.
It's okay, so you can see on the top part of your property, the little X and dashes is the existing fence line. So you've got apparently your fence line is slid. It's the orientation.
So again, I think the survey that was put out back in the sixties or whenever it was not lining up with what's here. Because you go on the GIS map or interactive maps with Washington County, it actually shows that her property is down on the church property, and the post office and, you know, the old houses that are there are actually on, Ronald's property. So I mean, everything's shifted. I know JD had that issue when the highway was put in, that they had a big deal with that fence line that's straight out to our mom's house. Same with, Kevin Stout's old house, whether it's on 50th South. That old shack that's in the back of Kevin Stout's old house. According to the property line now, goes right to the middle of it, even though when it was surveyed prior, it was 6 feet tall. So there's a lot of discrepancies on one town.
There.
Of where it goes. That fence has been up 50 years.
Yeah,
The
That
church,
one really needs a shift. That
so,
whole area in this area up here has a shift, even down
Yes,
by the White House before you go down the hill right there by Jeffries.
yes.
That whole area shifts this way.
Yeah, when they did the survey for the church, when we asked them to do a survey and I looked at it, you could see that things were kind
Everything shifts like this, it's kind of.
so the county's GIS department, they take mapping from several different sources. They take mapping from records of surveys that have been done here in Virgin over the years. They look at the original township plat, how that is laid out in connection with some of the roads. And it's pretty obvious if you look from some of these records of surveys that somewhere quite a ways off in years, at least 40 to 50 years ago, there was a couple of prominent surveys that were recorded in the map repository, and they utilized different points of beginning, points which were off. Some of the state GIS locations, and so what you have is if any successive survey follow points referenced in these older surveys, it created a problem where there is a fair amount of shift. And in some places it's more than in others. In Utah, we have the doctrine of boundary by agreement. And what that means is that if property owners put out a visible and recognizable fence or create some sort of item of distinction, and that remains in place for a period of more than 20 years, that constitutes by action of the parties a change in ownership or change in boundary of one's parcel to that which is the agreed upon location. The most common is obviously a fence, but there can be other things, rows of trees and things like that. So in my opinion, essentially, this is property that we now own by virtue of owning this parcel now that the church owned. One way that we can fix this is to have title to their property near the fence line. And so I indicated previously, the first thing we needed to do is have a survey done. And even though the survey doesn't show me on on this map, I'm sure from what the work that they did, that they can give us a legal description of the sliver that they've been occupying based off of that lower fence line. So I would suggest that it needs to carry all the way across. Even though the fence might stop the last day there. I wish we got, Mayor, can I make a request that we get a little red laser pointer?
Oh,
For anyone, maybe?
I have one in my office, I forgot to bring it over.
Yeah, so that people can
Okay.
look at things and then.
Okay, I actually have one in my office, I forgot to bring it over here today.
But if you can see on the lower set of X's and dashes, that fence line stops.
You can go get it?
I thought that was an actual right away where the fence was. Supposed to be. Where you're in, where the parking lot being done.
See where it says family bar and cat?
Mr. Snow,
Yeah.
if I can explain something. Going up here, thing on here.
Yep.
Where Mill Street goes up to the shop. There's a dog leg, and there's a reason why there's that, and I asked my dad years ago. In the early 1900s, when the oil field came in, there was a plat map, I've got it, of my house, 1878. However, when they came in, no one was using that road, it's always using Main and then one to go off. So when the oil company came in, they put a maintenance shed out in the road. And so everybody started going around it. If you look at the maps, there's a dog leg that goes to the east and the road actually, instead of coming out at the old Mohawk, should come out at the White House to the west. And that's why all of those, if you look at the survey and everything, that's why they're all tweaked. Because everybody
Yeah.
followed the horses.
Well, and if they do the realignment and a road dedication plat of that dog leg, and then people after that, surveyors after that use points of reference in that survey to shift the shift. So that's very fascinating information, for a little bit of background
If you don't-
behind why the shift occurred, or why they were using a change.
With the curve that got access that on the right away.
So my question is, if I can ask. So your property here, you've got a fence that runs along through here, and I would assume even though the fence may stop here.
I almost think that they have the survey in the middle of the street because they do, that survey monument is only like 2-3 feet behind curb and gutter down in that gravel. And which is 15 feet or so farther.
So as is common, right of ways are wider than what you actually see paved. And or even paved with a sidewalk on the side of it. So yeah, it may look like it's in the middle, but it's not in the middle of, if we overlay that with the actual road, we can understand it. But my question to you is, we can convey from here down here, we can't convey this little portion right here. That's not, or is that, yeah, that's not ours.
That is
That's
our
our
town park.
Okay, so if we wanted to, could take in that little piece and all of this, and I think that it should continue on, no use trying to.
Yeah, right.
And I'm pretty sure that Alton Engineering actually
Yeah.
shot all the corners.
Oh, I'm sure they did, so for you to make a call then and say, thank you, it was very helpful with the town. Can we get a legal description for this, the outer boundaries of this right here, then
We can convey it.
we can convey it to them. My question has been, you're shifting down, on the other side. Here, obviously, you're not trying to change anything.
No.
No,
I'm just leaving it on slides that are there for, since we were back in 78, so those fences have been up, I know, since then.
You know, one thing I suggest, doesn't need to be done, but the three of you, you guys and these two, lot owners, I don't know if it's the same.
It's the
one.
same,
It's Bonner and Bonner Investments. But you ought to put together a boundary line adjustment maps. I'll prepare it. And, the town would approve that when it's recorded. That would be like the deed that we would be giving you. The boundary line adjustment plat would, when recorded, make these the new boundaries.
So that's, that was.
But that doesn't have to be done in order for the city to approve, or the town to approve a granting a deed. Because in my opinion, my advice to the town is, you guys already own that sliver by virtue of there being a fence that is longer than 20 years.
And basically, the Bonner guys own the land is actually.
If you came to me and said, do they own our land up to the fence, I'd say yes. So,
So do you think that would create a shift? Oh, up on the top part where the bars are, it's already shifted here, is that gonna create more problem?
what is, I'm trying to visualize, what is
That's the highway,
south of Bonner?
the highway goes to the park.
Fifty south.
And then
See, the
the
roads is,
duplexes are right there, and then.
I think what we need to do is, the frontage on the road is what the road is, above them, so. I don't know that makes a big problem, it doesn't per se make a shift, it just makes. I mean, you have title, and then you have quasi title. Right now, where you have all of these boundary by agreement or boundary by acquiescence, it's kind of the same type of concept, there's like 5 different ways you can acquire. By use, title to property, and when you see all these adjusted fence lines that are rotated down, it's probably what's going on, and. I think it is not something that the town should take exception to their requests. In fact, I think that we probably ought to just to clean that up, on that portions.
Okay, so what Arlen's going to do,
Yeah, next step is Arlen is going to call Alpha Engineering and have him create a legal description based off of their survey ordinance for that sliver, and you can have Alpha email that over to me. And I will prepare a very quick little deed, and we will proclaim that sliver to their house. And I'll use the same, unless you tell me otherwise, who's ever on title to your parcel, I'll use that same person, like if it's your mom.
It's on mom right now.
Yeah, then we will convey that to your mom, and mayor will sign that.
So Alpha Engineering actually have everything ready to go about that, what we were doing. We're waiting for an email to clarify to make sure they did it.
But just to make sure that they're surveying on this lower, the fence line, that it comes all the way across to the road.
To where the property should be on the Mill Street. Okay, easy enough. I think he had everything ready to go, because he thought he was just gonna go in and.
Tell him if he's got a question, we can call.
Okay, do you know Ryan?
Huh?
Okay, I can't remember the other guy's name, but ask if he was sharing this. So he's not.
so you're going to. If he has any questions, the engineer will call Keith, otherwise, if he might even already have prepared that little description.
It was
Okay,
already done.
so it'll be a big piece of cake for him to just email
No,
that over.
I throw it into it. I would suggest that.
They should just email it straight to Heath. They can CC us with the email it to Heath, CC us. And then we've got the legal description so that I can keep on Heath to say, do this quick one, Heath.
So since this is. Do we have a discussion on or?
It's just a discussion item. We didn't know what was the next step. And then, you'll prepare a quick claim deed, I sign it, and then it gets recorded.
I might have you put it on the agenda
Agenda.
for a ratifying,
Okay. And November, so,
so unless you guys, I think, yeah.
Ratification's fine.
okay. Okay,
Harlan, I will email you, Keith's email address, if you have that too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you sent the survey.
There you go.
There you go. Thank you.
okay, you guys are done.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so there's only two items left on the agenda, and one is the subdivision ordinance, and then this thing from Century Link. So from what we discussed at the meeting last Thursday, we're not voting. I believe the way we left this is we were going to review this subdivision ordinance one more time and then do a vote in November. That's what we wanted to do.
Can I, so Mom walked out earlier, that little rubber thing that's underneath the door.
Uh-huh.
Stop the door, it's banging the arm into it. It
Okay.
might be a good idea to get that thing fixed.
Okay,
It's catching.
okay,
Right there.
got it.
Okay.
Okay,
Just thought I'd bring it up, thank you.
Thank you.
you're making a note there, Crystal?
We had sent, I tried to do, this was in PDF and I meant to get,
Like a Word
from
document?
Crystal if she had the Word version. So that we could do a merge and compare, because we had sent over to, Riker, a red liner with some comments and some things. Spencer spent a good amount of time just looking at the code and looking how Riker had implemented. There were a few things that we needed to have some clarifications on and a little bit of adjusted language. And I don't know, I looked real quickly at the PDF version and frankly, I didn't see it in there. So either Riker's made it and we are not working off the current version, but.
Did you send the red line version to Riker for him to look at? No, okay, so we don't know if he put the changes in or not. Got it, okay,
Therein lies the question.
okay,
So I'm glad to hear. I didn't want to like stop you if we needed to have it approved by the implementation date. But we've got time because we
We've
don't
got
have to till
Till December.
December.
I move that we, table this item until November.
I'll second it.
okay, and before we vote, did you have something you wanted to say, Darlene?
That's gonna trigger another public hearing, right?
I don't think so.
No.
Is this gonna trigger another public hearing with these red line changes that you guys made?
Are they substantial?
Do you want me to talk about
Spencer,
this?
some of them were.
Some of them are pretty substantial.
Yeah, so planning commission will need to do that in their, cause your October meeting is tomorrow, right?
That's a
No,
word.
we have a work meeting.
Oh,
My follow-up question was, is Riker gonna be on our work?
Only if we ask him to.
Yeah, it doesn't usually come to work meetings.
If we ask him to, he may already, it may be too late for him, but he may
I
have
was
some
wondering
conflict.
if we could deal with that then,
yeah.
so we could get it on the.
So,
Yeah.
so another thing too, I just think for simplicity, Riker, like I've said, is fantastic at drafting ordinances, but he's not an attorney. And so one of the things like what we did here, analyzing what the code requires and what Riker has drafted into it may show up, that there's some things where we have, a little bit of non-compliance. And I don't know if he's getting feedback from other city attorneys in the other towns or cities that he's drafting for, but I would suggest, even if planning commission is having Riker draft an ordinance, and it's coming to you guys for a public hearing and a recommendation to the council, that maybe we be
Oh, you guys still until.
provided it too, so that we can give our feedback on changes, so that if they want to modify it and make the recommendation, doesn't kind of like, here we've gone, come back, and now we're gonna have to go back to planning commission, only to come back to you guys, and we gotta have this ready for,
Okay.
and, you know, got it ready for this, is it December?
December 30th is when this has to be passed, but our meeting's like in the middle of December, so we'll get it done, yes, Darlene.
Cutoff date for November public hearings is Sunday. All documents.
Is it, so that's fine, we can put this on for public hearing, we can go ahead and put this on the public hearing notice, that's not a problem. It's just
You want me to ask Gregory to come to the work meeting tomorrow?
if he can, he needs to notice pretty early. But the question is, did he implement the changes from Keith's red line?
If we have, do we have
We have-
a version of his, or did he just send it?
Just send, you only send it to me.
Yeah, just ask him for a word version, I can do a merge. Okay?
You can tell.
you about that. Whether it's got changed.
So I assume Spencer's going to be assigned to prepare those two.
So, I'm gonna go with it.
So we can have an answer for you guys, soon, assuming we get a red line, assuming we get a
Darlene,
word doc.
you're cut off for November meeting, what is that submittals from other people, or is that internal?
I have to get it into
Crystal.
Crystal by December.
What is your November meeting?
That's the first Wednesday of November.
Second.
Okay, that makes sense to me, because I'm thinking 10 days in advance of. the-
17 days.
We have more than 10 days.
Because sometimes it takes a few days for the newspaper.
Well, we have to make the signs that we put up around town, and so it's a process.
Okay.
But if Monday should be okay, I'm assuming.
Can you send that?
Now, before we move, we need to vote.
Well, we have a motion.
Yeah, we have a
Motion
motion and a
to
second.
table with understanding that, it will be, sent back to.
Yes. And April 2nd. So all in favor? Aye. Okay, so before we move on to the last thing on the agenda, this Virgin Town subdivision submittal checklist was in SharePoint. Did you guys create that? Did Roger create that? Where'd that come from?
Roger created that, and that is like a checklist to make sure everything in the subdivision ordinance is met.
Okay.
My understanding, and I could be wrong, was that he based it off of some that already.
Yeah,
exists.
he basically took his ordinance that he's been improving and refining for us and others. And he's boiled it down to a checklist.
Okay.
The checklist includes, what has to be submitted, which is very helpful to the cities and their staff, but also the checklist as to for some of the procedural aspects of things. I actually thought it was pretty good.
So based on what you guys did as a red line, would that affect anything in this checklist?
I think it'll affect
Okay.
at least one, if not two spots in the checklist.
Okay. All right.
So I was looking at this, and I was wondering if we could put something about the floodplain development permit.
He said, sorry,
Floodplain development permit, there's nothing in this list that I see. as-
planned unit development.
No,
Floodplain. We've been trying to work on a permit for that and getting it implemented. And I think that maybe we should have this on our checklist.
Because one of the things that,
I think that's a great idea.
that April and I talked about was requiring from now on, every building, any construction of any sort, that we need to know, they need to submit to us something showing where they are down a floodplain. Much like, I'd seen from Jared Bates when he presented something for Sierra Bella, and he presented this whole map that showed where the floodplain was in relation, it was great.
Do we have an appointed floodplain administrator?
It's either the town engineer or the mayor is what our.
Right now
our
it's
code
you,
says.
I think that's what
I
I
know
know.
it's the town engineer, but I am no
Do
engineer.
you know who a lot of,
Yes, Jared.
Jared.
Jared is the person, I know.
The guy is like a floodplain guru.
And so he, I liked what he had submitted from Sierra Bella when he was presenting some papers. I was like, we need to have something like that. Every single person who comes in for a building permit, subdivision, any kind of development, we would like to have included this same map showing where they are in relation to a floodplain. And so what she's asking is if we should include that in the submitted checklist.
Toledo City, they have a building permit approved for a home. The home was in the floodplain, but an accessory structure, like garage, was. And, there was, some flooding issues. And the city asked for some FEMA funds to help assist the city, with doing some rearmament along Ash Creek. Only to find out that, FEMA looked into this and realized that, we had committed the city had committed a violation, of their federal regs, and fined the city $50,000 and indicated to them that if there was not a corrective plan in place, and if the city did not have a floodplain administrator, and who was reviewing each type of permit like this for floodplain compliance, that, the city could expect never to be able to receive any FEMA funding in the future. And so we brought on Jared Bates, there. He's been great. He got a corrective action plan in place, and they removed the $50,000 fine to the city. And they've been using Jared since then, and he's fantastic.
So was the $50,000 fine because they had initially allowed a house to be built in the floodplain?
They allowed a building permit to be issued.
But he said the house was in the floodplain, but the accessory
The
structure
house
was
was
not.
an accessory
Was.
structure was.
Oh, I had it backward. Okay. So do we need to add anything in the subdivision ordinance itself about floodplain?
Not a lot, but we can read.
It is a sentence or
Because if we're going to be, and, I'm not trying to pitch Jared or Rosenberg and Associates as, the way that it needs to go, but I know that Jared, one of the first things he did when they brought him on, they've got a pretty standard floodplain, management chapter or set of ordinances that cities can adopt that meets all the federal FEMA regs, and, Cokerville did that. So, we probably ought to look at what Tokerville and others have done. I know that they've done the same thing for Santa Clara City, for Ivans. I had heard that Jared, was possibly gonna be doing the work, but I don't know who else in the county they're doing it for, but, yeah, they would be a good resource if you wanted.
So hold on, Darlene. So you had thought of this as you were looking at the subdivision ordinance about floodplain. And did you see where in the ordinance you got if anything about floodplain should go?
Well, what I'm saying is that in the subdivision ordinance, I don't know that we have to have tons of detail if we're gonna expressly, regulate, the existence of structures and things like that in a floodplain or floodway. In a separate chapter, we probably just need to reference
The other chapter.
that, the other chapter.
Yeah, okay.
And that's where I said, I think we're going to be in our subdivision to make a reference to.
Okay, because I know we have something in our code about floodplain. Yes, Darlene.
In subdivision ordinance, 1814, one,
18 and 14, hold on, let me get there.
I'm sorry, I don't have that.
It's specifically, all areas not just floodplain by FEMA. Utah Department of Natural Resources or other public and private entities deemed unsuitable for the proposed development under flood damage and section of the ordinance in Blue chapter 22.
We need to,
I don't know if that's enough, but that's.
yeah, I don't know if that's enough, but that, I'd like to read through chapter 22 and see what we got over there.
So I think what we have in there is really pretty basic. It just says that you should fill out a floodplain development permit. And then we just recently created that flood development permit. It's just taken from the FEMA site, and the state uses the same too, so. I don't think we've ever implemented that part of the code.
And this may very well, this part that, Darlene referred to may be enough. Would you guys look at it, see? But, if it is, then, we still have to have on the checklist a requirement that they check, that they provide us with a map showing whether or not they are or not, or not within the floodplain.
And then we should probably look at our chapter 22 and
Yeah,
overhaul that.
yeah, that's what he was saying, yeah. Making those notes over there, planning commissioners, you guys? Okay, because now you're gonna have to revisit chapter 22, is what, April and, Paul and Keith were just saying. Okay. Yes, more work to pile on for planning commission.
Look at,
It'll be fast.
look at Dunkin' Donuts. They. Their chapter on flood administration is pretty good.
Did you get Riker? What did Riker say? Did he respond?
Yeah, Gregor could not make it tomorrow.
Okay, had to do
Because
that.
I don't know what's planning commission.
What about a word copy of?
Yeah, he said no.
All right,
This week.
okay. All right, so the last item on the agenda is,
So there's.
oh no, there's two items. Two items, 5 and 7. Authorization for the mayor to sign. What?
Go ahead, introduce it and I'll make a motion.
Okay, authorization for the mayor to sign the proposal from Lumen/CenturyLink to relocate the telephone pole on Pocketville Road near Sierra to a safer location. So you said you were wanting me to introduce this, so you can make a
Yeah.
motion.
Yeah, since this is on our 5-year capital equipment plan, and this is for the first fiscal year, I move that we authorize the mayor to sign the Lumen CenturyLink proposal to relocate the telephone pole on Pocketville Road near Sierra to a safer location pursuant to the agreement.
I had one question, I looked at the amount. Are they gonna actually take it down and put it under the road, and bring it back up?
I am, let's see, Lumen will remove one pole at the corner, place one pole 20 feet to the north,
And then.
relash the cable from one pole to the west approximately 175 feet, then riser down the new pole and bore approximately 250 feet across Pocketville Road and to the northeast to replace the drop pole with one new pedestal and turret. So yes,
And that makes sense on the expense because. put the
It's a
pole
lot
up-
of money, I thought.
put the pole up and relashing, and even if there's an extension of some water, it's in like. But it's the fact that they're having to bore 250
50 feet.
under the road.
so,
And it's a safety item, so
it's a safe.
I, the same thing, I looked at the price and one like this, but then I know it's a safety.
We'd much rather not have overhead.
Right, that's a lot cheaper than having to replace.
And they will not, we have to sign this and we have to cut a check and get it to them before they will even start the work.
No, I think the government gonna build it.
Oh, no, they've already sold, they told us. We've got the thing from them saying, I've got the email from them saying, we're not doing this work till we get your check.
So for government customers only, no advance payment is due, haven't read their
Okay,
own
all
contract.
right, okay.
That's what I do, I return to the.
I had to pay Rock Mountain Tower for removing the light poles in Desert Gardens, which they haven't got on their calendar yet, but we sent them the payment, they received it, and told us they're
I've never found a public utility who doesn't like having all of their fees paid up front.
Right.
Before they do any construction, but you're right, if their contract says we don't have to. Let's do it when it's done.
Okay.
We just got 40 days to pay it,
okay.
45 days to pay it.
Okay. I will contact her, I will have Monica contact her tomorrow and say, excuse me, but,
Just highlight it when we send the contract back,
oh,
with the same, no highlighting it.
Hey, you can say the city attorney has.
Okay.
Why do you have to pay?
They're not done.
Okay.
Fine. All right, last item.
Well, nobody got a second.
Oh, we good.
Any second on
Oh, second.
I will do a roll call vote since this is money. So April,
I'm,
Paul,
it? Aye.
Jean, yes, April, Missy.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Last item was the bus stop on the St. George to Springdale shuttle. So I got this phone call yesterday from Cameron Cutler. St. George telling me that bus stop's gonna start November 1st. He was calling several other towns, not just me, saying, what's your bus stop? I was like, nothing like a little notice.
Did you say Springdale?
He's like, where's the stop? And he said, is it gonna be Mill Street or is it gonna be Co-op Terrace Road? And at first, I thought Co-op Terrace Road. I said, but I've got to submit this to the council, let them help make this decision. And, I called just to update everybody. I called and talked with Stu Ferber, and because he had talked about potentially making a stop right there by, as part of where the KOA campground is, he was gonna make a stop, because they had said, Cameron, who was in charge of this project, had said they want this stop to be where there's acceleration and deceleration lanes on Highway 9. And I was like, there's no acceleration or deceleration lanes at Mill Street, but there are at Co-op Terrace Road. And so Stu Ferber had offered to landscape in a bus stop right there next to where that check-in building is at the KOA, that they're building that building there. And so when I called him to say, hey, this bus is gonna start November 1st, and we have to choose a location. And he said, well, I'll do it for you if you want. He said, but you know, when November 1st, all the tourism slows down significantly until March.
Stu's cash flow goes down.
Stu's cash flow goes down. And he said there's going to be less tourists. And he said, you're not gonna get very many riders. And so he's like, you're better off putting it at Mill Street for now. And this would be from November through at least March before tourism picks back up. And he said, you're better off putting it at Mill Street, in his opinion, because then you've got all the workers that would take the bus.
Right. Could you put it, so if they're gonna come through town, could we have, if we do it on Co-op Terrace Road, they're gonna have to turn on to Co-op Terrace Road?
They
if
will not
came
move on the
up?
highway.
So
So-
which area is
It's
flat?
back. They
what about the
will
way back?
They'll have
absolutely,
to do it on both sides.
they have to do it on both sides. And they will absolutely not turn
That's why I
off
was asking if
highway
they
9.
had to turn off on the Co-op Terrace Road and pick them up on the. Okay.
No, it would have been go past Co-op Terrace Road and pull off.
With this,
Pull off into the side of the road.
Yeah.
And then back on.
with the speed of March, we've all tried to turn off the Mill Street, right? Do we honestly think that's a safe place to have it? I think the reason I think like it better here is I think it's a little bit wider, it feels like there's more mobility. And Mill Street doesn't have as much mobility, like there's not as much space, does that make sense?
It does, but I'm thinking that if the bus is coming along and is pulling off, that, it's
We're
gonna slow
already
traffic.
expecting it down here though, because there's a four-way stop here at Co-op Terrace Road being a popular turnoff.
Well, we were looking at people that people that live here and work in Springdale, do they really want to drive their cars down and park by the KOA? Or they could park in the church up here that we just bought. They could
Where-
park there if they needed to drive, they could park there. Others could just walk to the,
So
Mill
we're
Street
gonna have to
stop.
put up signs of no parking along the.
Do we have enough level shoulder on both sides of the intersection of Mill Street?
we went and looked at it today. And we were looking at between 100 West and Mill Street, or Mill Street and 170 East. And Mill Street to 170 East, the road is kind of starting to go downhill, so if you wanted it flat, we're talking between 100 West and Mill Street. And, we went and looked over there today, and there's plenty of room. If we put down road base, there's plenty of room for the bus to just pull off and pick people up.
So as a tourist, I'm sure all of you are gonna think the same thing I do. I can park here for free. I can go park along this highway. Right up here, get on this bus stop and not have to pay to in park and straight.
Yeah, I know. That's the
So
whole
we
point.
gotta,
That's the whole
we gotta block, I know, but are we gonna block it off? Are we gonna put in?
No
pay
parking
tolls,
signs.
No parking signs? Are we gonna put in, you must pay to park signs to deter it? Cause otherwise we're gonna have
Yeah,
cars parked
We're-
all the way down the
We'd
road.
have to put no parking.
We would have to put no parking signs, but we don't even know how many people we're gonna get. We don't even know how many people are riding the bus.
but I'm saying during the peak season.
You're gonna have a million.
Instead of, it's gonna get out instead of.
We're not gonna have just one stop. For now, we've got one stop, that he told us to choose one location for now. And I told them from the get-go that Virgin's gonna have two stops. That
Right.
if we had Mill Street, or it was, the options were Sheep Ridge Road, Mill Street, Co-op Terrace. Those were the three options.
So we're still gonna have a parking problem because if you look at the way that in peak season, they're cleared into Rockville. Parking.
Yes, yes.
So, and they're even parking in places that,
For business, we have one business there, well, two.
it'll help businesses
It will help
either way,
businesses for River Rock
both of
and,
them will.
yeah.
Yes.
But at the same time, we've got to discuss parking, because that has got to be fixed, because otherwise we're gonna end up with cars just sitting there off the side of the road parked.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll have part of parking
I
now.
don't think you gotta remember, this is coming all the way from St. George with stops. Where are the other stops?
oh, it starts at the Dixie Convention Center.
Yeah.
That's the beginning point. And then it goes to Red Hills Mall. I was thinking there was one other stop before Red Hills Mall, but maybe not. And then, so it stops at the mall. And then it goes, and there's a stop in Washington, and I can't remember where the stop in Washington is. Then it goes into Hurricane, and there's going to be, one or two stops in Hurricane. Then it goes, into Lavergne, and there's gonna be a stop in Lavergne. And then it's gonna come up the hill here. And there's going to be at least one stop here. And then, I don't believe there's a stop in Rockville. Maybe outside of Rockville, but definitely not in Rockville. And then in, Springdale, it goes and stops at Lion Boulevard. That's the only stop in Springdale.
So Misty, if we were to start, a bus shuttle, then I can see where we could get way overloaded, but there's gonna be visitors who are going to park. Some of them will park in Hurricane, some of them will park in Hurricane.
However, though, they're going to also park here because it's closer to the park and we are free parking.
yes.
That's what I'm getting at. It's, cause I went to Yellowstone, we parked as close, I mean, you were always, when we were camping, people were finding places as close as we could
We could,
to Yellowstone, even though there's other places to park.
we could put, no parking on the highway. We could create a residential parking zone, for the neighborhood, so then it limits. A lot of communities have like around universities around to prevent students from parking there. They create residential zones where only the residents have a permit and a guest permit to park there.
Much like Springdale.
Yeah, well.
And so we're gonna
But all I
increase our
would say,
share of
even if we did that by zone call, we probably gotta sign it.
Yeah,
So is our zone, is our.
So it sounds to me like to be ready for November when you got, we really have to be signing and putting out some road base,
I'm sorry, say that again.
well, even if we put no parking signs along, the highway, or we need to do that and do, some road base in the areas so that it's safe, but because you need to be able to, and maybe the parking side of it doesn't have to be done immediately.
no, it can't run away.
It needs to be done something so that we can enforce, our code enforcement officers can be our parking
That's what you just said.
That's what I just said.
That's what
I
you just said. Could we put a sign, could we put a sign,
Can we get
Like-
those little small parking things with the one wheel up front, instead of parking on the side of a little light?
could we put a sign right there at 100 West that says parking for shuttle this way? And one
So
at
can I
Mill
take
Street?
my pasture and we'll just let people park in my pasture?
Hey,
Well,
just
there-
charge me.
You know.
$10 a month and they can park on it,
Okay.
I'll even segue them right there.
Just get a business license.
Hey, I'm up for it.
Yes, Darlene, you've been raising your hand for a while.
I hear what Misty's saying, but I think it permits to park in the church lot, so that it would be like locals. Because isn't that the purpose of this bus? It's not supposed to be a.
It's supposed
No, it's both, it's both.
It's supposed to be a tourist bus as well. So-
It's both for
So think of
residents.
yourself as a tourist, where are you going to park?
But it's
Are you gonna
supposed
park
to
in St.
live
George,
in a
and
truck.
ride in, or are you gonna park in Virgin because it's closer and it's free?
Drive.
But if to park in Virgin in these designated areas, you need a sticker.
Right, so that's what I'm saying, we need to put in some
Well,
signs,
remember, I've
some
told you guys.
barriers.
Okay, I've told you guys before that I have been approached by, I have received phone calls from someone who wanted to buy all this property that was back, not on the highway, but back away from the highway, and he wanted to turn it into parking lots because he knew the shuttle was coming. And he's called me more than once, and I put him off, because I don't wanna see us become a parking lot.
Right.
But there's people already calling that want to do.
Well, that's why I in jest say I was trying to turn my pasture into a parking lot, but that's what's gonna happen. Is we've all got, this is happening.
Well,
So it
I
happens.
would-
Before we decide that we're allowing all these stops, I think we need something in place that says you cannot turn your land. I hate being that way because it's property rights, they should be able to, but. Okay,
Here's the point, you're getting, okay, here's what I'm gonna say, I think you're getting ahead of things, because starting November, there's less tourists. I know there's tourists still, but there's less than there are in peak season, this is just not peak season for tourists.
I don't think it has not slowed down that
We're
much for the
just talking
California
about
market.
that.
Spring down yesterday, so it's back.
It never, hasn't slowed down for about 4 years now that I've noticed.
Okay, what he,
I'm just saying, I think council members are talking about what needs to be done in the future. We need to designate a parking area and have, public works guys out to spread.
Yes,
some
Crystal.
noise.
Well, I know you guys talked about making the code enforcement officer also the parking enforcement officer, and something that has helped with Springdale, just because I know the parking enforcement officer up there, don't know how I know that one. But something that they got on top of, and what helps with forms, because people always look at forms online, and if there's forms out there that says there's free parking in Virgin, park there, people are gonna park there, that's what you're worried about. Is if we get on top of it and start ticketing right on it,
Increase our
then
share.
people are gonna start saying, don't park there, you'll get a ticket, don't park there, you'll get a ticket. Is if our code enforcement officer just starts ticketing people right off the bat, they'll stop parking real quick.
okay,
And I
All
noticed
right.
that they put in rocks and things like that that we can do it right now.
so this is okay, so here's the deal,
How fixed is this? I mean, if we select this, are we bound to
No.
it forever?
no,
No, but I do think that you start to create confusion.
You do, yes.
Start-
I was gonna say.
Like modular spots. And Mill Street, if we want it to be our neighborhood walking community, vast area up here, we want it to be a neighborhood, commercial, do we honestly want a bus stop right in the middle of that, or do we want one at the beginning or the end of it? Do you see what I'm?
I see what you're saying.
Cause that would help the workers, it would help the workers if it was put possibly down by the, no, the short-term rentals that just went in down for Coyote.
Okay.
Coyote Cafe used to be or whatever, Red Coyote.
Yes, when UDOT did the master transportation plan for the town, one of the things that was in there was 3 potential stops for the shuttle bus. That was in the master transportation plan, and the 3 potential stops were Sheep Bridge Road, Mill Street, or Cobalt Terrace Road. Those were the 3 spots that they put in the master transportation plan. Now, we are not obligated to the spot, whatever we choose today, we are not hidebound and can never change it again. We can work and say this spot does not work for us, but this bus is starting in 17 days. And the easiest thing that I see is to put some road base down on that block between 100 West and Mill Street. And Cameron said they would send a crew out to put the sign that says bus stop. They'll install it. And it'll be right in the center of the block.
Why that over, Cobalt Terrace Road?
Because there's people around here in this area of town that work in Springdale, and they can just walk over and get on the bus. And so, and if there's anybody that's eyeing White Bison, and I don't know when the Red Coyote location's gonna open up, but if any of them, they can easily walk to this stop. It's a walkable stop. If you go to Co-op Terrace Road, everybody's gonna have to drive their car.
And where would they park?
They're gonna have to park in the hotel
Or
parking
if
lot.
they're local, would get dropped off.
You would hope
It's
so.
a lot shorter than going up.
And then the problem is, if you do, when you do the stop on the other side of the highway, if you do it in Cobalt Terrace Road, it's that road, there's the road that goes up as a driveway to somebody's house, that would have to be stopped there. And, up here, the stop would be over here on the property in front of Todd Barber's property. Right past Adam and Hannah's house. And
So is that on the SR9 easement?
Yes, this is in the right of way. This would be in the, you back that
Do
right.
they have something worked out with UDOT? Because I'm a little bit nervous about our crews going out, putting road base down within the UDOT right of way, only to have certain people from the regional office come down and get all healthy.
I will talk to them, I was just talking just today with, let's see, what's this guy's name? Region 4 Director of UDOT, I was just talking to them today about another issue down in. So I've got his card, I can call him and make sure that this is not gonna be.
I would assume that they've had some discussions about
They had to,
that, but.
because he was in the meeting
Bus
today.
stops.
The meeting I was at, I understand what you're, I understand, Misty, I really did.
Oh, no, you're fine, I'm just,
But, he was in the meeting today and we were talking stops and, Cameron was talking about the shuttle. This guy who was the Region 4 Director was there and, he made no comments whatsoever, because most of the stops, like even Hurricane, Labergan here, were all our stops are on Highway 9.
as it should be.
As they should be, yeah, that's the whole point.
Are they going to put in a pedestrian walkway because of people trying to cross over back into town?
I don't think
The other
UDOT is
side.
gonna allow you to stripe a crossing
I
area.
couldn't even pull out of Mill Street the other
I
day.
I pull out every,
So much.
I come out there every single morning and it is a mess. I am worried about safety, I'm worried about parking. It's honestly a mess right there. This honestly is one of the scariest parts in Virgin for the turnoff. Because it's narrow.
And I suggested to you, Doc, that they put in one of those signs that you press the button and you can walk across with the lights and everything flashing. They ignore me, but at least I made the recommendation.
Right.
My concern though is we kind of have competing interests. We've got members of the community that work that need to get there with rifles, you know, how many, because I have a concern about the neighborhood, the parking and people in the neighborhood. I mean,
We have no clue how many people are riding this bus.
Well, if well, if you use any indication of how popular this park is. And this area, it's not just this park, we have the Red Bull area here, and they're gonna ride up to Rockville and stop there, or people can ride up to Rockville and get off in Rockville and go to Brackville, or wherever they're going, they can get off the bus. This area is popular, it's not just the park. And if there's any example of what's happening in Springdale, we're gonna have a large traffic problem, because I would park there at the city park if I could park for free.
I would,
I would totally pull over my grass right there.
I'd go park on the side street unless there was some prohibition there.
I'd go park right down my street. I mean, that's what I'm just seeing, is knowing how it was to try to go to a.
Okay, so are we even gonna have a bus stop in Virgin? I mean, it sounds like we're not even gonna have.
No, I'm all right with this going on the terrace road.
What about Sheep's Bridge? I mean, I understand that's kind of a desert gardens, but what if
That is,
it's scary, but there's a place for him to, if we could find out who owns this property across the street from the gas station.
No idea.
you think Mill Street's bad, that is terrible.
Well, there's beside this scary problem there.
Well, and they're also picking up speed right in that area as you're not quite getting town.
He'll slow down.
So you're telling me to drive the same speed
Yes.
half mile outside of town as they do.
Yes. I'll tell you right now, yes.
There's parking there.
Ask the sheriff.
Drive up there.
They do.
Yeah, stupid, because people parking in spot.
Well, Keith, is there any?
Here's the other thing that I was gonna suggest too, we probably need to work on an ordinance prohibiting people from charging and allowing parking who have frontage
Along Highway
on
9.
or near Highway 9, because what people are gonna do is like, everyone's driveway is gonna become a parking lot. And you're gonna drive through Virgin, you're gonna see every driveway with 5 cars parked in it.
Yeah,
And to add to
it's
that,
a commercial use, so.
to add to that, I just looked through the commercial uses and remembered when, it was Utah City Leagues, they said unless it's prohibited,
Prohibited, yep.
they can do it.
Yep.
We don't have parking prohibited in any of our, any of our.
I mean, that's what Keith is saying. is that we
Right,
should
I agree, so
clarify.
that needs to happen fairly fast, because we all made a joke about my pasture, but it could happen.
Yeah, everyone's gonna be.
I'm surrounded by pasture land.
I'm leaning towards Colo Terrace. I mean, we can always move
We
it,
need
but-
two. I agree with the mayor, we need two, and Colette Terrace is gonna happen.
but right now, we only need to designate one.
Yes, but my
Yes.
question is, because it's from May, it's starting in November. Do we really wanna start at the location where there's going to be less people, or do we want to start at the location that is convenient for our residents?
I thought
That's
we were
my-
going to do a survey and ask how many residents would even take a bus.
Well, they said that that what they said today was even if there's 2 people, they're making that stop. It's gonna be a stop. They don't care, they want to get this show on the road.
So
They don't care if there's no people at the stop.
even though,
They want the show on the road.
Sheep's Bridge is a hotspot, it's got the visibility though. You
I
can see
think Colo
coming from
Terrace is
both
better,
ways.
honestly.
Well, we're gonna do Colette Terrace for sure.
Mhm.
That's
Oh,
happening.
the second
But
one.
let's, I mean, all we need to
Second
decide
stop.
right now is just one.
That's what I'm
Just
saying,
one,
let's do Sheep's
Just Bridge
one for
and it's
one to
November.
start it. If you think that will work.
I'm not, yes, I won't be in favor.
I won't.
Well, my
Traffic
problem,
conditions of that.
my problem with Sheep Bridge is, where are people gonna park?
Do it on Mill Street, but then we're gonna end up moving it.
And right,
And
right
that's-
now, I'm leaning towards Colo Terrace. Until we explore the problems more around here.
Because people from town could drive.
Well, you can walk all the way to Colette
You
Terrace
can
from
walk.
here, and it's from my house, it's only, to my house and back is 3 miles.
And then if we want a
It's only
second
about a
one
mile.
on Mill Street, let's get our ducks in order before we do.
But do we have a lot of people that do ride that bus that live
Well,
central?
that's what we don't know.
I still think you could catch the shuttle You have a family member drive you right up to where it's at.
Drop you off.
It's 2-3 minutes from your house up there and back, which is a lot faster than mom driving you all the time.
Ride your bike.
Right.
Ride your bike.
Well, you can ride your bike all the way to any of these stops. There's a sidewalk. There's also a side. I see people jogging out to Sheets Bridge on Mill Street and out to Colab Terrace Road.
I read designs from
And
my
all
house.
day. Yeah, so there's ways to get there, no matter where we put it. I agree with the convenience of Mill Street, I do, but I see a nightmare. For the future. Cause we want that to be our neighborhood walkable,
Okay,
commercial, but
I will tell, that you guys want to pull up Terrace Road. And we've already had a death over there. We have 2 people in that car wreck, but. So we know that's a dangerous location too.
Well, then, you don't follow my recommendation and put a roundabout there.
Oh, I know.
hey, put it on Mill
And
Street.
she's gonna go.
No.
Put it on Mill Street and see what happens. I mean, it's fast, we're gonna have the same problems no matter where we put it. There's more visibility, the Sheets Bridge has more visibility. Mill Street, they do not slow down, it is a little bit. It is in the center of town for convenience, however, they don't slow down there, it's not enough space. And then you go to Colab Terrace Road, which there's a visibility problem there when you're coming from this direction.
But
So,
Cobalt Terrace Road will give us at least 6 months of. Before it gets busy as to what's going on and then we can see how it works. We can hear from our residents that, no, I don't like it. Why are you doing that?
have a problem, so
I'm just worried about the residents here.
then we can do it on Mill Street then. Cause that's what that purpose, the whole purpose of putting it on Mill Street is for residents.
Yeah, the whole purpose
No,
of Main Street was.
I'm in residents that are living here,
That
not,
want the cars.
that don't like
I
the
live
cars.
here and I can tell you that the cars are already up because of numerous reasons in this area,
Yeah.
so that's inevitable. We live in a tourist area, the car traffic's gonna be there, it's just safety is what.
I will talk to Stu Ferber tomorrow because, if this goes in at Colog Terrace, the location, the only location is you go past Colog Terrace, you have to pull over right there, right beside, where his building is that's being built, and then have to go right there.
The
Next
other
to the
side.
highway, and then they can go back on. I don't know what's gonna happen on the other side, but
What about on the detail side, on the hotel side?
on the hotel side, they have, Stu landscape all the way to the, I mean, when you pull over to the deceleration and you want to turn, like you're going into the neighborhood garage, it is, there's trees and rocks all the way right there. So if you go across Colog Terrace Road,
So he landscaped all the way into the.
all the way. And so, but he's not the only one that has done it.
Oh, I get that, but is there an expectation that, you know?
He's gonna have to do it. Whenever that bike trail comes in,
Yep.
he'll have to do it.
So. We're good against.
I'm gonna call Stu tomorrow and I'm gonna call the guy from, Cameron from St. George tomorrow and tell him that, the town council wants co-op, see what they say. Because I don't know what they're gonna do on the other side of it, because you gotta have both sides.
It's dangerous there.
It's dangerous there, and so it's dangerous at all 3 locations.
So, yeah, no matter where you go, it's dangerous.
No
Why,
matter which-
why,
Just as long as they don't have any real estate marketing signs.
Right.
Blocking views.
Oh, there's
So-
the real estate marketing signs over there, and then,
in terms of safety, what,
we just
What
have to
do
make
you
sure the
feel-
Stu does not find people parking in the hotel parking lot.
in terms of
Well-
safety, why do you feel that Mill Street's safer
Well,
than any other?
over at Sheep Ridge Road, the speed limit's 55, at Co-op Terrace Road is 55, and it hits 65 right past Co-op Terrace Road. Speed limit jumps up to 65, and right here it's 45. So it's of the whole area, this is the slowest speed limit.
Because there's stuff there, would that make you not slow traffic here?
I would agree with that.
That's a good, no matter where we put things.
Will they slow traffic down?
Bus stops.
Maybe you don't
Because there's
will.
fun stuff.
Maybe they will.
That would
Bus
be
stops,
slow
it
it
should
down.
slow it down.
Yeah,
Well,
that would be a good thing for co-op.
So
ask
my
what's
thought
their
was-
advice, which one did they say is the best location to start?
They wanted either Co-op or Mill Street, and he was specific, when we were talking yesterday, he was concerned, what about the north side of the road? South side was not seeming to bother him, it was the north side he was concerned about. And the north side, where would the stop be?
Just past,
At Falcon Ridge, would it be like right there?
Well, as I said, if it was on, up here at Mill Street, the cross would be, the north side was going to be where Tom Barber's property is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, that's where that stop would be. If it's, Co-op Terrace, it's either going to be right there before Co-op Terrace Road, immediately across from the stop going this way on south side, or you go past it and they stop right there by the girls' home. Those are the two options. I'll ask him tomorrow, I'll call Cameron to tell him, get his opinion, which one he really thought was better for the bus.
You wanted a motion for that one?
yeah, it seemed to me like it would be a motion.
That's what Paul was asking a minute ago, if we wanted a motion.
I would like to see a motion, I mean, we can revisit this,
It's on there as a motion for
yeah.
Is it?
the, yeah,
That's a discussion about.
you know, it's on there as a motion, go for item 7.
Oh, all of them, okay.
Before we motion, are we all in agreement, or is
No, we can-
We're not in
It's a
agreement
motion.
necessarily.
so
Make a
it's
motion.
clear. I move that, we designate this initial stop for, temporary period, to be Co-op Terrace Road for the bus stop.
You wanna say through, when does the season pick up, do you wanna have it?
I see it's gonna pick up again
Are
around,
you gonna reference it as temporary to a date and time?
March
I was gonna say March first,
Go March
maybe,
first?
because it gets really busy at, President's Day, which is in the middle of
That's before
February.
the first
Give
day.
us an opportunity to revisit it.
But come spring break, whatever is spring break for colleges in Utah, forget it,
I
after
would do
that.
March first because that's before all the spring breaks. And it's just after President's Day, but it's a good date.
So November first to March first. Well, it's.
Sure.
yes.
Then we'll just have to either renew it or decide it
Yeah.
like somewhere.
Can we get sense for the thing as fast as possible? It's in the park.
Make it April first, make it April Fool's Day, not have some.
But if it's Co-op Terrace Road, why do we need signs that say no parking?
Cause I'm gonna park right over there and walk to Co-op Terrace Road.
Yeah, we don't want people parking on SR9.
Sorry, well,
We'll just tell Matt he has to start doing tickets.
What that, Chris?
So is somebody gonna second, is somebody going to second Paul's motion?
Moving second one.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I don't know if that's okay, because it's 3-1.
Yeah. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn,
motion to adjourn.
second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye. We just kicked the can down the road.
That's all we did, yes. All right. Spencer, I hope